Congressman Rosendale, good to see you today.
Hi, Joseph. Good to be with you.
Now, we have seen new economic reports from the Biden administration. President Biden speaking about that today. It seems that he's trying to talk about anything but that. What's your reaction to today's news?
I think the president started trying to manage expectations 6-8 months ago, tried to explain to everyone that we were going to see dropping job numbers. We were going to see higher inflation rates, exactly what the economists had been forecasting for quite some time. It has coming to fruition now. We knew that putting the additional $5 trillion into the economy that the Democrat spending bills have done over the last 20 months was going to cause problems. We certainly recognize that the president shutting the opportunity for the oil and gas companies to lease public lands and to increase their production by pulling the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. All of these things were going to contribute to higher energy prices. That, coupled with the inflation that we're experiencing on other items, is really making it difficult for people all across the nation.
President Biden is, of course, trying to spin this as positively as he can. Here's what he had to say today. Let's play clip 2.
The pace of job growth is cooling while still powering our recovery forward. Wage growth for workers remains solid, down from historic high pace months ago, but still growing for workers who deserve a raise. And this is the progress we need to see.
Congressman Rosendale, do you agree that this is the progress we need to see?
No, the progress we need to see is a replacement in the House of Representatives majority and in the United States Senate majority. And I'm certainly hoping that that's going to happen in November. And then we can start turning these policies around. That's the change we need to see. The inflation rates are so high now, Joseph, that even the folks that are experiencing some increases in their wages, it's not enough to compensate for the additional cost of their groceries, of their gasoline that they put in their car, of any of these regular weekly items that they really need to purchase. And now that we saw OPEC just reduce their production by 2 million barrels of crude oil a day. We are already saw, I think crude oil hit $92 a barrel today. It's going back up again at a very time when people can least afford it. We're going to have the additional prices, energy costs to just stay warm this winter.
Some of the specifics of the new jobs numbers: the economy added 263,000 new jobs. It is job growth, but it's the second fewest, I should say, jobs added since COVID recovery began. It's also the lowest number of the year. Congressman Rosendale, you talk about the importance of the midterms and how that would affect the economy. With the Biden administration still in power, what could Congress do that you think would be helpful if the majority changed?
So my real hope is that we will be able to go in next January and swear in a new Congress. And even if we are in split government, whether we regain the Senate, certainly Biden is still going to be controlling the White House. The House of Representatives is charged with developing a budget and appropriating funds. And we can tie our priorities to that budgeting process. We can make sure that we secure the border. Republicans in the House Natural Resource Committee have introduced about 8 bills already this past year to increase the production and the output for our oil and gas products, permit pipelines, create, I think it's 3 new liquid natural gas facilities for handling these products, whether it's domestically or shipping it for overseas. So we can take our priorities and absolutely tie them to the budgeting process, including on day one, eliminating this ridiculous request for 87,000 new IRS agents that are charged with, they estimate they're going to be able to collect another $200 billion worth of fines and penalties from what I see as my farmers and ranchers and small businesses across Montana.
Congressman Rosendale, the Biden administration has been taking credit for months for what has been significant job growth. A bit of an interesting debate about who deserves credit for that, because 9 of the 10 states, of the top 10 job growth states since the COVID recovery began, have Republican governors, and 10 of the top 10 job growth states have Republican legislatures. So that's certainly to be one of the arguments taken into the midterms is whose policies are actually stimulating this economic growth. But Congressman, another subject I want to get into with you, because more bad news for the Biden administration this week when OPEC announced that they were going to cut their production of oil in response. It appears the president is going to ease sanctions on Venezuela, as well as release more oil from the strategic reserve. What's your reaction to President Biden's reaction?
It's absolutely ridiculous. We have these products right here domestically. It would be good for our national security. It would be good for our economy. And quite frankly, Joseph, it would be better for the environment. We have seen the global emissions have increased over the last 2 years because President Biden and the outrageous, outlandish left wing of his party are demanding that we reduce our use of oil and gas products, but it's just not happening. What is happening is we're being forced to purchase them from our adversaries and tyrants from around the globe. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Again, we have the ability to develop these products domestically. Republicans have introduced 8 pieces of legislation to do just that on the House Natural Resource Committee. Let's go ahead and strengthen our own economy and our own national security. And again, help the environment all at the same time.
It does seem like a lose-lose situation when your choice is to purchase oil either from the Saudis or from the Venezuelans or the Russians, I guess. But all of these look like bad options. And of course, right now, we cannot do it all from ourselves. I do want to switch gears a bit because the Department of Veterans Affairs has gotten some attention this week, announcing that they are going to perform abortions. Let's go ahead and play clip 6.
The VA is taking these steps with our primary mission in mind: to preserve the lives and health of veterans. There is nothing more important than that. This emergency authority allows us to save lives.
Congressman Rosendale, that's Undersecretary of Veterans Affairs for Health. What's your reaction to this announcement from the VA?
Well, I'm sure if you'd have played a little bit more of that clip, Joseph, you would have seen what my reaction was. I was very deeply disturbed by that announcement and referred back to the Veterans Health Care Act of 1992, where it explicitly states that the taxpayers' dollars, the Veterans Administration, will not use funds to perform abortions. And they're estimating that just by changing this rule around and inserting the word women's health, so the 2 words, women's health, that they're going to be able to provide these abortions. And they estimate that they will be providing 1,000 abortions a year under this new rule. And I think we're going to see lawsuits filed. I am pushing very hard to make sure that we can prohibit this from taking place. And I'm hopeful that we will do so.
Now, I understand that Republicans in Congress are concerned this is a violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act. What can you tell us about that?
That one I am not familiar with, Joseph. Again, what I am familiar with, though, is the Veterans Health Care Act of 1992, where it explicitly states that there will not be abortion counseling even provided by the Veterans Administration. And I will tell you, there has not been any law that has been passed by Congress since that time to change that fact.
We will continue to track that troubling story as well. And for those who want to give comments on that decision by the Veterans Administration, go to TonyPerkins.com and look at there's a link on today's show summary where you can provide public comment on that decision. Congressman Rosendale, one final topic I want to get to you today. President Biden said that we are as close to nuclear war right now as we have been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Do you share that level of concern, and what's to be done?
Well, I certainly am concerned anytime that we are engaged or we see conflict that is taking place around the world. But I do not think that Vladimir Putin wants to engage in a nuclear war, there would be global outcry to isolate him, and that is not what he wants at this time. It would be an absolute catastrophe. We know it, they know it, and it does, though, show the importance of making sure that we do keep our own nuclear program and our weapons up to date and ready, because by keeping those weapons available to us, that is how we're going to keep these bad actors and our adversaries around the world in check.
Yeah, and that concern, of course, is due to the sense that there is an increasingly desperate President Putin. In about 30 seconds, what should the administration be doing right now?
Well, we are doing exactly what we should be doing, and that is applying additional sanctions, economic pressure on the Putin regime to make sure that they cannot execute their military operations there in the Ukraine. But this always goes back, Joseph, to all the decisions that were made leading up to that, which incentivized Putin to go into Ukraine to begin with, which began with rescinding the permit for the construction of the Keystone XL, lifting the sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, things like that.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Congressman Matt Rosendale, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.